Hello, my name is Ian Matthew, and in this video I'm going to take you through all the new features in AutoCAD Plant 3D 2018. So here's a list of these new features. Cloud-based collaboration. We've added a lot of new improvements to P&ID. The ability now to do project backups and search inside of the project manager. We've improved the instrumentation support. We've also added improvements to isometrics. And we've also simplified the workflows inside of Plant 3D. So let's take a look at these in some detail. Let's take a look at the cloud-based collaboration feature in AutoCAD Plant 3D 2018. The cloud-based collaboration feature takes advantage of BIM 360 to be able to actually store the project. First, you create the project in BIM 360, and then you can invite members of your team to participate in that project. Now you can determine whether this project is open, closed or secret. Closed means that only invited people will be able to see this project. Now we're ready to go into Plant 3D and actually share a project that we've created locally. We upload the project to BIM 360. In order to open a collaboration project, select Open Collaboration Project, select it from BIM 360, and now it will open locally. Note the BIM 360 symbol against the project name. You now work locally on your machine, and you can check out files in order to prevent other users from editing them. We've simplified the workflow and made attaching reference files a lot simpler. Click on the Attach button, and now you can select which files simply through the dialog box that you want attached. Copies of the XREFs are downloaded and links maintained back to the BIM 360 folder. This ensures that the XREFs will be updated as the project progresses. The collaboration options allow us to determine how often files will be checked for updates and what happens in terms of checking out or checking in drawings. We can also manage our specs. We can check them out, edit them locally, and then check them back in for other users. We've also made it easy to make local backups. Simply right-click, select Create Project Backup, and a backup copy will be made locally in your designated folder. Now, let's take a look at some of the improvements we've made in P&IDs. Let's take a look at the first one, P&ID Painter, the ability to highlight lines based on property values. Paint styles are defined in Project Setup. Select the P&ID Painter page under P&ID Drawing Settings. Paint styles are defined by name and may have a description. And then in the lower half of the dialog box we can define the property and then assign the colors to each value of the property. Once all the colors are defined, click OK to save the property style. To use P&ID Painter, in the P&ID Home ribbon, select P&ID Painter. Select the style that you want to use, and then the Paint P&ID button will change the color according to the style. Here we see a line is incorrectly defined with a spec, so we will put the correct spec in and the color changes. Now let's take a look at how we can make P&IDs become piping spec driven. Spec driven P&IDs are set up in the P&ID Drawing Settings under Project Setup. In a spec driven project, piping P&IDs are accessed during P&ID editing. In the tool palette, non-spec items are shown shaded. You work with piping specs in the same way as you do in Plant 3D 3D modeling. Select the spec, select the line size. Non-spec line sizes are shown shaded. Even though you're working in piping specs, non-spec items can be placed into the drawing. To check the P&ID for spec or out of spec components, we use the P&ID Painter. There is a style specially defined for in-spec checking. Red items are out of spec. Now, let's take a look at the improvements to off-page connectors. As well as improving the off-page connector process, we've added the ability to now use off-page connectors in instrument lines. They work exactly the same way as for process lines. Plant 3D 2018 now includes the ability to back up projects. Simply right-click on the project name, select Create Project Backup, determine where you want the backup to be located, click Backup Project Now, and your project is backed up to your desired location. You can even back up to the cloud. So here we've got our project backed up on A360. Now let's take a look at the search function inside of Project Manager. Simply type in some of the characters of the file that you're looking for. Click the search button and those files will now appear in the Project Manager pane. I think you'll find this a very useful function, especially in large projects. Let's take a look at how we've improved instrumentation in AutoCAD Plant 3D 2018. We've added an instrumentation catalog to Plant 3D, and with that comes a tool palette. You can select instrument items in the same way as they were piping catalog items. This makes it so much easier when placing instruments in the 3D model. And of course, since they are in the catalog, they're linked directly to the isometric representations. So creating the isometrics gives us a representation that you would expect in the piping isometric. The instrumentation catalog looks just like a piping component catalog. We deliver a metric and a imperial catalog as part of the out-of-the-box. So here's an example of what our catalog looks like, and as you can see, it's just the same. We've also made a number of improvements in isometrics in AutoCAD Plant 3D 2018. In particular, we spent some time working on improvements to improve the visualization of sloped pipe. So now let's take a look at some of the simplified workflows in Plant 3D 2018. First, let's look at how we've improved handling piping specifications. As soon as you open Plant 3D 2018, you'll see a brand new section inside of the Project Manager which lists all of the specs in the project. You can manage the specs directly from the Project Manager pane. You can remove specs, or you can even edit specs, as you see here. Once you click on the Edit Specs, it automatically opens the spec editor. Now you can perform all of the spec editing commands that you would do as you have done in the past. This makes life a whole lot easier in terms of editing your specifications. Once you complete, this is local to you, and you can now upload that particular piping spec to the rest of the people working on the project. So now let's see how we've simplified handling XREFs. First, in collaboration projects, we have a Attach button in the collaboration ribbon that allows us to quickly attach a number of different XREFs in one single operation, as you can see here. We can also use the Project Manager to attach XREFs. Open a file and now use the Project Manager to select those files which you want to attach into the current file as a XREF. As you can see, we now have many different options in terms of managing XREFs in any drawing. So now finally, there are a lot of other improvements we've made, including changes to 3D graphics to take further advantage of the graphics hardware acceleration, Vault improvements, plus many others. One thing you'll notice almost straight away is that the drips that show disconnected pipe are now in 3D. So this concludes this short video on the What's New features of AutoCAD Plant 3D 2018. I hope you'll take advantage of all of these new features, and thank you for watching.